Hey guys, let's talk a little bit about some upper body warm-up stuff then as well today. So same idea as that lower body video, mobility, stability and strength. So upper body mobility I kind of spoke about with you before. So things like the child's pose, you want to think about, with all this stuff, you want to think about the positions you're going to be into, right? So for upper body work, it's inevitably here, so pull-ups and overhead pressing, and then it's inevitably here, so like bench press and like inverted rows and that sort of stuff. So we need to be strong and stable in this position. Most people are pretty good. And then we need to be strong and stable in this position. Most people are pretty bad. So we're going to focus on that overhead position, right? So things like your child's pose, really, really good for mobility. Thread the needle. Thread the needle is something that gets butchered all the time, right? So what I want you to think about when you do this is start with your hands, wrist, elbow, shoulder, dead straight line, right? Take your left hand a hand's distance out in front. Right arm then comes through. So notice my position here now, okay? Then you're going further again. So you almost want your shoulder in line with your wrist, like your right shoulder with your left wrist, and then push down onto the ground. So you're really reaching as far as you can and forward at the same time. And then whenever you come up and round, don't just like fling your hand. And people fling the hand because they feel a stretch in the chest, but that's not what we're going for here with this one, right? It's about squeezing the shoulder blades together to rotate up and round. So it's this movement and that. So take your time with these. Like 3 good thread the needle is much more like proactive and beneficial than just flinging your arm up and down. So child's pose and thread the needle are kind of the only 2 that I really do quite often with regards to mobility. You can change the child's pose one to being on the sofa or whatever, but they're both pretty, that's what you need. Stability wise then, there's a couple of different things we can do. First one that I really, really like is things like shoulder taps and scap push-ups. Both of these also get butchered all the time, right? So scap push-ups, let's start with these. You want to think about wrist, elbow, shoulder again in a nice straight line. Hands closer than you think together. Now from here, tummy tight, go on your knees. Knees, hips, shoulder in a straight line. Shoulder, wrist, elbow in a straight line. Then drop that down. Notice how the tummy position doesn't change and come back up. So as I come down, squeeze my shoulders together, I can feel my mid-back, my traps working hard. As I press up, I'm pressing in at the same time. So my elbows are kind of coming like this way towards each other, all right? So it's down, up. And this gets my chest really active as well. So we're getting good chest activation there. You can go 5, 6, 10 reps on that one. And then shoulder taps. Shoulder taps and some side plank rotations are really, really good for this one. So I like to go, what I did in my warm-up today was tap, tap, rotate, rotate. So this way we're still trying to like think about that wide open position up into there. That's the transference we're going for. And then the shoulder tap is just a very literal version of stabilization. Like if you can't do this, you're not stable through the shoulder. Then whenever it comes to strengthening, being in a good overhead position, if I can use a dumbbell here, apologies, not prepared. With that dumbbell, if you're working positions to try and get into a good overhead position, but then you press here, you're entirely missing the point. So get into that position. If you need to go lighter or you can't do as many reps, but you're in a better position, long term you're going to be in a much stronger, safer environment and be able to press a lot better overhead. So again guys, really, really, really simple. Lats and shoulders and chest are all kind of interchangeable in this one because the shoulder joint is covered by all 3 of those muscles. So if you can make sure that you warm up this position and maybe a little bit into that position as well. So if you can hang off like a door frame or something, like reach over and stretch right there, that's usually pretty good for the lats. But apart from that, child's pose, thread the needle, and maybe a lateral stretch in that way. And then things like shoulder taps, handstand holds if you're competent with them, and rotations, and then into some overhead positional work. I know at home, pardon me, a lot of you can't maybe hang off a bar or whatever, but if you can hang off a door frame if possible, or just get a light dumbbell and hold it overhead for a few extra seconds in the warm-up. I'm adding that a lot into some of your workouts at the minute anyway, so that's something worth bearing in mind. But guys, warm-ups are really, really, really simple. Just think about what you're going to do. So have a look at your strength piece for the day and your workout, and then reverse engineer into that position. Go back to bodyweight versions and then load it up very, very slowly. If you're still really, really stuck with this should help, but if you're still really, really stuck, come and let me know and I shall try and